And welcome to episode 24, I believe, of the UFL Newsletter Podcast. Here we go. Here we go. We got Willie D on the top. There is our boy, Mr. Dr. William D. Daniel. And down below, 7 and 7 himself, Mr. Jared Snyder. Boys, thank you all for joining me. And here we go. Me and Will did something very similar last year, previewing the UFL Cup. We're going to go ahead and preview the wild card round. We had yet another fun-packed UFL season. A lot of storylines, a lot of things occurred, but today we are just going to focus on wild card weekend, our matchup. So here we go, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up. Jared and Will have both missed the playoffs, and myself. Well, all three of us have missed the playoffs. Will at 6 and 8, me at 5 and 9, and Jared at 7 and 7. Will, I'm going to throw it up to you first. Willie, you missed the playoffs for the second straight year at 6 and 8. Um, Look, man, negative 16% luck. That's all I've got to say. You outscored about 12 other owners. I think you were fourth in the league in points scored.
I was.
I think it's just an unlucky year. I want to hear your thoughts on missing this year's postseason.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of middle of the season was just a rough patch. I mean, there's not too much you can do about it. And, now there's a lot of uncertainty about Joe Mixon, even his potential return next year. But I'm feeling good going into next year. I think Travion Henderson is going to be a good running back for a long time. I
Yeah.
think he started to prove that in the beginning of the season. So, not too worried about it. I'll be back and ready next year.
I love it. I love it. And then Jared, down to you, man. 7 and 7. Or excuse me. Why do I keep saying you're 7 and 7?
Yeah, no, I
Holy.
was just gonna let it slide. I
Yeah,
was like, it's
this
fine.
is a serious problem. You were 7 and 7 last year, 6 and 8 this year. I do not know why I keep thinking you finished 500. But again, you were right around the race until the very end. You started off 3-1, and then you kind of just trickled off throughout the season. What is your thoughts on how your 2025 season went?
Honestly, I was just a horrible coach. I
Why?
played the wrong players every week. There was so many weeks. You can go back, look at the schedule. I lost to Will. He knows he won it. The DiMarcardo fumble against the Titans. I'm not forgetting that.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a 15-point swing in that game, and I lost by like five because Kareem Hunt, two touchdowns on the Jags. Not forgetting that. But
Yeah.
truly, like, there's so many games where I felt like my team was, I mean, not the same firepower that some of the other teams had, but I played my schedule and I just didn't play it as well as I could have.
Yeah. Hey, same
You
here. I
know,
Yeah,
mean,
you know,
no, yeah, no, yeah.
you
yeah.
know, Kareem Hunt was my clutch guy this year for some odd
Yeah.
reason.
What are
Can't
the
explain it.
I will say that the Devontae Adams Puka Nacua duo was so fun to watch.
Oh
Jamison
yeah,
Williams obviously has the potential to be a star in this league. It's just you don't know what you're going to get week to week with him.
you do not.
Um, it's just going to be about rounding out the depth and getting a little bit younger, I think,
Wow.
for Will. And then for Jared, I mean, Dak Prescott, what a year from him. Devon Achane was really good. And it's just the same issue that you were tagged with towards the beginning of the season. It just comes down to Tyreek Hill being out for the season killed you. So just bolstering up the wide receiver room, and I think you're going to be fine. And for myself, look, I deserve this. I said this before the season. If I get an injury or two, I'm done. And my running back room was just awful. And there's no excuses. You got to have a deep room in every position group in this league to win, and that is on me. So, boys, we are all watching from the couch this weekend. Hell, we always watch from the couch because this is not real football. But here we go. Let's go ahead and get into the 2025 UFL Cup playoffs. Let's start off with the one seed, David Katz. Guys, back-to-back one seeds for the first time since 2020 and 2021 with myself. David Katz has had back-to-back 10-win seasons. He sits with the bye this week. Jared, I'm going to toss it to you first. What is your thoughts on David's team? Obviously, doesn't play anybody this week, but just going into that Final Four.
It's probably the most complete team. I can't remember exactly. I feel like I can't remember whose player it was. It might be JSN. Somebody doesn't have the most favorable matchups for his playoff games. But I mean, his team is still like, just
Yeah.
regardless of who he's playing against in the playoffs, like he's got five elite scorers. Addison on the fringe if he
Yep.
plays Addison or not, you know.
Yep.
But I just think David's team is just him and Bryson are in a separate tier, and
Yeah.
I think everybody else in the playoffs is capable of scoring. I just think it's going to come from all the stars aligning versus where David, that's the expectation. He's
Sure.
expecting 130 points.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. And then, Will, do you recall David's Nico Collins trade back in week 11? What is your thoughts on do you think that that deal alone, he traded away DJ Moore in a second for Nico, and Nico has just really produced since that trade. Do you think that that deal really just gave David that much more of an advantage?
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of timed it right with CJ Stroud coming back. I think they kind of worked out in his
Yeah,
favor. Well, whether that was planned or he kind of got lucky with when he was coming back is one thing, but
right.
yeah, I feel like it's the more consistent option when he has a good quarterback. Because I mean, Bears have been playing kind of crazy this year,
Yeah.
but it's not just it's kind of they do still have a little bit of a toss up every day, like or every week with wide receivers and who they're going to go to every week. So
Yeah.
I think
So
he ended up getting the most consistent option out of that trade.
yeah, yeah, I agree. So yeah, props to David for getting the 1 seed yet again. Let's go into our first matchup here, boys. So we got the 2 seed Bryson Allman, 9-5, best season in franchise history. This is his farewell year. Really started off well at 6-1, kind of cooled off down the stretch a little bit there. Brought in Chase Irvin as assistant general manager. He will move into full-time owner next season. Really good year out of him, and he's going up against Mason Waller, who look, a 7 seed has never won in this league, but I tell you what, guys, Mason has won 5 in a row, 6 of his last 7. He is rolling. Bryson projected to win by 17 right now is where the line is at. But I don't know. You never know in the UFL, so I'm going to toss it to Will first. Will, just looking at this matchup, who do you have and why, and kind of talk about both teams here.
So, actually, a couple weeks ago over Thanksgiving break, I had a chance to talk to the upcoming owner, Chase Irvin, at
No.
Old Armour in Kannapolis. Let me
Really?
phrase that this was right before I kicked his ass that week. But, anyways, he felt very confident, and like
Okay.
he's felt great about how stuff has went. He did say he was kind of looking to make more moves, like
Yeah.
towards the end, but he's got all next year to do that for himself. But I think one kind of question mark for them is going to be is Aaron Jones going to start or are they going to bring in someone else? But just kind of looking at the matchups here, I don't really see a matchup that Mason can consistently win against Bryson. And I think this could be the start of a very good farewell tour for Bryson and Chase.
Will, I know you're kind of like our injury guy. Do you know anything about Aaron Jones? I know he's questionable. Do you know? I know he was hurt earlier in the year. Do you know what that's about? Do you have anything on that? It's okay if you don't.
So it looks like they're more talking about a shoulder injury for Jones now. He was a lower body injury earlier in the year, so I haven't kept much up on this one to be honest with you.
Okay. So Will's going Bryson. I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna go Bryson. But I do think it'll be a little bit close. Jared, what's your thoughts on the matchup here?
I like it. Okay. I think Bryson's team it looks great on paper when everything goes well. But we got to remember we have the Kirk Cousins led Falcons that are responsible for Bijan Robinson's point output here. Okay,
Yeah.
Kirk can go out there, stink it up. That's not on Bijan. Bijan just might not get the same game flow just because Kirk's in control. Drake May, he's got a big game against Buffalo this week. This could be a test. Buffalo could show up and be like, "Shut up, Drake May. They want the division." I'm expecting that this game might go a lot different than you might be visualizing, just because I also like Christian Watson on Mason's team. I think Christian Watson's kind of playing out of his mind down the stretch. And I honestly, I'm gonna circle him. He's gonna be the X factor and Odunze. Mason's receiving room. If they show up this week, I think Mason wins this comfortably.
I comfortably. Wow. I mean, to just say
Okay. Well,
Bryson.
maybe not
That's a
comfortably.
big
Maybe
word.
like points. They're
Yeah.
points. He won. Okay, like there's not gonna be a tie this week.
That's fair. Hey, look, the last owner to be dead last in the league and make the playoffs the following year was 2023 Cole Pletcher. And he made it all the way to the UFL Cup. And he then lost to our very own William D. Daniel 134 to 99. Great run by William D over there.
Appreciate it.
Um, but yeah, no, look, like I think I talked to Mason today on the phone. He is just happy to have made the dance, right? Like that. He's just happy to be there. Nobody expected this out of him. Great pickups on Woody Marks and Christian Watson down the stretch. He is deciding if he wants to go with the Dunze, Pittman, Kincaid. Like he just doesn't know right now. And a lot of it is going to go on, it's going to be based off of Bijan's game tonight. So, we're going to monitor it, but either way, great job by him. And then Bryson. I mean, you look at last year, he was 6-8, but his luck was awful. It kind of reminds me of Will's season this year. And he kept the band together. And me and Jared both said on this podcast preseason, it is going to come down to Drake May's development in his sophomore year. And he did. He jumped from QB 25 in 2024, and he's now QB 8 this season. That is a big jump for a team that was already ready for the playoffs. Will, you got something up there?
No, it was just
Oh, okay, my fault. Now the Garrett Wilson injury does hurt, but George Pickens has stepped into a very valuable role. I am going to go Bryson. I already said that, but I do think it'll be a good one. Anything else on that matchup?
I only have one thing to add about George Pickens.
Do
Off
it.
season. I tried to trade for him. Chase and Bryson, hard bargain. They wanted two first. I didn't want to give up two first. I was ready to give up a first and a player, but I didn't want to give up two first.
Yeah.
Could have
Was
changed my season.
was that before the Tyreek Hill? Was Tyreek your
This
next?
was this was preseason. This was like before we had played a game. They hadn't seen Pickens on the Cowboys yet, and I was like,
Gotcha.
I want to get in on this now before something possibly
Yep.
happens like we just saw.
And a lot of people don't know that Pickens was shopped on draft night by Bryson and Chase. Nothing ended up happening, and it worked out for the best.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into our next matchup here. Let's go into two very good friends, Devin and Trent. Trent is the 3 seed at 9-5. This is his fourth 500 or better season in the last 5 years. Trent has never made a UFL Cup final, but he has always been consistently a pain in the ass. He's always been a good team, never too low on the totem pole. And he's going up against Devin Smith, who had a 9-5 season last year, really caught the league by storm, was expected to do big things this year, still had a good season at 8-6, squeaked in at the very end with a win versus Evan in week 14. He is now in the dance. Joe Burrow is healthy. So I'm going to go to Jared first here. I think this is a really good matchup between two good teams. It's Herbert versus Burrow. It's Cook versus McCaffrey. This is a really good matchup. What is your thoughts on how the matchup will go? And specifically, I want you to kind of go towards the wide receiver room of each team because I am concerned about Devin's wide receiver room.
Yeah, no. I looked at that and I think that T. Higgins injury, that's devastating for Devin. Even though Devin's winning in the projections right now, just him relying on Darius Slayton and Ricky Pearsall, that's just not the duo that he probably wants to have starting. And I think going against Trent's receiving room, he's got Rashee Rice, who's probably like one of the hottest receivers in terms of just he's just putting up points right now at a ridiculous rate. Tet, I think Tet is a little he fluctuates a little bit. He's a little more volatile with his scoring. But I think Trent feels comfortable with that. And Devontae is also kind of in that weird batch where I feel like he can have a stinker game, but I think Trent's team is trending in the better direction than Devin's team is as of right now. And that's I would pick Trent just from that.
Willie D?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Devin kind of had an interesting situation kind of going on the whole year, with being kind of tight end heavy and having two tight ends kind of in the starting lineup when they were healthy. I mean, Brock Bowers was out a lot of the year with that PCL injury, but I mean, you look at the numbers, he was the fourth ranked tight end when he was healthy. So I mean, that does kind of show the weaknesses though with that wide receiving room. And Higgins has been limited participant in practice the past 2 days. So that basically means they can't rule him out yet, is kind of what that means. They don't have enough to rule him in, but they can't rule him out. But I just see, I mean, I think the one way that Devin wins this is that McCaffrey goes for 50 plus. I think if McCaffrey can pull out that kind of number, Devin will win. If not, I got the Italian stallion the whole way.
Yeah. And look, like when you look at Devin's running back room the last 3 years, it is insane what has happened. He had McCaffrey finish as RB1 in 2023. Saquon finished as RB1 last year in 2024, and McCaffrey's currently the RB1 in the entire league this year in 2025. It is an unprecedented run at the running back position, and sometimes, and he has lived and died with this room for the last 2 years, and he's won games. Now, can he win a playoff game with a lackluster wide receiver room? I don't know. We didn't see it last year. He lost to Andrew in the first round, 130 to 107. So is it enough to beat Trent? We'll see. But it's no question if McCaffrey and Barkley both hit in the same week, especially with Burrow being back. And Willie, just tell me real quick regarding Burrow. He should have no limitations, correct? I forget what it. Okay, okay. So
He
no
should be.
limitations. And then T. Higgins, I know you said he was limited. Do you think there's a shot he plays here?
I mean, concussions are just you literally never know. Like concussions are very hard to figure out the severity at first because like they don't really show up on scans too well, and it's just based on how you perform on tests.
Yeah.
And those tests are kind of not the most reliable,
Hmm.
so it's just there's really no telling, unfortunately.
Jared, I'm gonna have you look at Trent's lineup real quick. I want to ask you a question, and then I'll lead
Okay.
into this.
I got it
Uh,
up right here.
So Rashee Rice, and it has nothing to do with Rashee. I just want to point this out. Trent was 3-3 before the Rashee Rice returned from his suspension. He is 6-2 since Rashee returned in week 7. That's incredible. Now, when we
Mm.
move towards the bottom half of the lineup, Trent lost a very crucial game in week 13 to Cole Ryan, 102 to 119, when he started Zay Flowers over Tet McMillan out of nowhere, and that move cost him. Tech got 15 points on the bench. Zay got -5. That cost him 20-point swing. Looking towards the bottom of Trent's starting lineup here with the Devontae Smith, Chase Brown, who you traded to Trent, and then Ted McMillan is in the lineup, Zay Flowers on the bench right now. How would you build this starting lineup? And do you agree with Trent's decision so far to have Zay on the bench coming off, I think, 15 plus points in 5 out of his last 6? I know I put you on the spot. I just want
No,
your.
you no 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 no. No, you're good. I was kind of also looking at the hypotheticals, like the three, like those three guys, all three of those receivers are in the same spot for me. Maybe Zay's probably at the bottom of the list if you're accounting for Devontae too, because I was saying Zay, Devontae, and Ted. I would probably not want to play Zay, but it also depends on if he likes that Bengals matchup. We got a division game. That's a big game for the Ravens. Joe Burrow seems a little mentally checked out right now, so I don't know what's going to happen there. Um, Tet against the Saints. I don't know. It really comes down to what Trent is feeling the matchup is because they're saying he's not projected enough to beat Devin right now. So he's probably looking at that like, all right, I gotta pick the guy that I think is gonna boom and score some good points this week.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
would I think Zay feels like the scariest option out of that batch. But I also do think he's capable of going for 40 points.
I
Right.
I don't know if
100
Trent feels he needs that though.
I
So
100% agree on the Zay Flowers thought.
you would not start Zay, Will?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Um, I think it's interesting. I do think Trent put himself in this position by doing two excellent moves. One, trading on draft night Darnell Mooney and Evan Ingram to Brandon for Zay Flowers. That was a great deal. And then drafting Tet McMillan at pick 4 over Travis Hunter. That seems to have been a good deal. So good for Trent getting back in the dance. I'm gonna go with Trent. Are we all picking Trent here?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm going to go
yeah.
with Trent just because of Devin's depth at wide receiver. However, with Burrow, McCaffrey, and Barkley, it can go as far as you want. And Bowers, by the way. Like, come on. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Okay, let's move on to our last matchup here. We have the 4 seed Owen Stiffle back in the dance for a second consecutive season versus Mr. Ohio, America's team. Cole Ryan finally gets in the playoff race or playoff bracket here in his 4th season. He finally makes the playoffs as the 5 seed at 9-5 as well, I want to say. All right, guys, let's get into this game. Owen, at one point, won 8 games in a row, 100 plus points in 9 straight. It was an incredible, incredible run from weeks 3 through 12. He's cooled off the last 2 weeks versus Cole Ryan, who the entire season hasn't really had like insane 170 point games by any means, but he has a very high floor. He will not bust. Pause. in a given week. That's on me. So we've got two different kind of teams here. One who's stayed very conservative, doesn't like to trade. The other is the most aggressive, trash talking trade guy in the league. Willie, I'm going to send this to you first. Owen Cole Ryan, one's hated, one's loved, one's aggressive, one's not. We got the opposite ends of the spectrum. Who do you got here and why?
Well, I'll start by saying I hope Cole Ryan's skill in the playoffs better than his bowling skills. But anyways,
Hey,
um,
come on now.
so one of the main talking points I want to look at is the last three spots on the roster for each team. So obviously, uh, excuse me, obviously Owen has Jonathan Taylor, and that's the big piece. And even Brock Purdy, I mean, he's the higher scoring quarterback, but I don't know if I necessarily like trust that. But anyways, so when we kind of go down to those bottom three, the big question mark for me for Owen is Rico Dowdle. And I will say it towards the end of the season, haven't really disclosed this yet, but an offer that was kind of weirdly retracted, sent to me by Owen, was involved Rico Dowdle. That's kind of all I'll say on that. And said offer before it was retracted, I would have taken it. But anyways, so if you look at Rico, he hasn't scored a touchdown in 3 weeks, and let me check again. But I don't think he's even cracked over 100 total yards. My bad. Week 11, he cracked over 100 total yards, but just barely. I think if Rico can have one of those games where he first kind of came like onto the forefront, then Owen has a chance. But otherwise, I see Cole Ryan having the more consistent team, the more well-built team kind of going down the stretch. I'm going to take Cole Ryan in this game.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Jared, as somebody who is also, you're probably the most aggressive owner in terms of trades, right behind Owen. He has shipped off like the likes of Ashton Genty. Trey Tucker was sent to you. Michael Pittman was sent to Mason, and he's gotten in return this entire season through trade Brock Purdy, Wandale Robinson, Juwan Jennings, Keenan Allen. Five of his six starters have actually been acquired through trades in the last two seasons. Jonathan Taylor last year with Evan. Do you think his trades has set himself up for a deep playoff run? And do you think his team is built for a deep playoff run? Same question, but go ahead.
Um, I think Owen at his best is as good as Bryson and David's teams, but it's only when they're playing at their best. Like Rico Dowdle shows up rushing for 200 yards, but it seems with Owen it's week to week who's that guy, and that's why I think Owen's scary to play. Owen's team seems to be built around just some dude's gonna go way off, and it's just gonna ruin your entire opponent's week. But
When
I don't know.
When looking at the quarterback position, Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, what do you think? Who do you think has the leg up there? Do you think Cole Ryan made the right decision so far to start Sam Darnold over Jacoby Brissett? Brissett has averaged more points over the last 3 weeks than Sam Darnold. Brissett has actually been really, really good over the last couple of weeks. Sam Darnold's been kind of boomer bust. Now Cole is betting on Brissett having an off week versus Houston. Do you think this is the right decision to start Darnold over Brissett, Jared?
I would say playing Houston, yeah. I don't think you can just trust even with how good Brissett has been. He can be sloppy too.
Okay. Okay. Will, tell me real quick. Now we just got news earlier this week. Drake London is out tonight, versus Tampa Bay. If Owen were to win this game, I don't know how up to date you are on Drake London's injury. Do you think there's a chance Drake comes back next week? What is going on with his injury status?
So, kind of with a lot of the other wide receiver tight ends this year, it's that sprained PCL.
Hmm.
So that was in week 11. And I think the pattern we've kind of seen this year has been that 6 to 8 weeks kind of out. So I would say it's either looking like the very, very, very slim chance of him coming back next week, but I would look more into week 16 or 17. So, I mean, pretty much he's got to get there.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, man, that's a brutal loss. That's a brutal loss for Owen, and he's kind of gone all in on this veteran heavy lineup. And I'm not blaming them. I think it's worked out well. I think both teams have a high floor here. I think both can reach 90, 100 points and then they're just going to kind of claw it out for who can explode for a 30-point game, and maybe that'll decide what happens. Now, Jonathan Taylor obviously has had an MVP caliber season. That has been an electric addition and player for Owen. Does he match Kyron Williams? That I think he does, and I think that's a key advantage for Owen is running backs. Both teams are built by running backs, which is very interesting. Jared, you were one pick away from taking Emeka Egbuka. Don't know if you would have, but just saying at pick 8 is when Cole Ryan got him. He plays tonight. What is your thoughts on Emeka Egbuka? He had a hot start to the season. He's kind of cooled off here. How much of an impact do you think he can bring to the table tonight?
I mean, I probably would have picked him. I can't remember exactly what I was thinking that night because
Yeah.
like I was also blinded by like I saw a Chargers player on the board, so like it's hard to not pick them.
Yeah.
But
Oh, you know what? You traded away pick 9 for Tyreek
yeah,
Hill.
no, I get, yeah,
Play
Tyreek
that.
Hill. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
yeah.
yeah, my fault. But just talk about Emeka Egbuka here.
Yeah, no, I like Igbuka. I definitely was kind of surprised how strong he came on, like into the beginning of the season. And I don't know exactly when the overlap is when Mike Evans went down fully. I know Igbuka had a couple injuries in that mix, so I don't know the severity of those if that was what was impacting. Because
Mhm.
he's had a little bit of some roller coaster weeks lately. He's been kind of bad actually the last 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
no, he's less than 10 points the last 4 weeks.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, I don't know if that's injury, Mike Evans missing, or just some kind of shift in presence on the offense seems to be going on there. He's just not making those, I feel like those same splash plays he was making at the beginning of the year.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and each recap our winners. I am going with Owen over Cole Ryan. I'm going to go with Trent over Devin. And then I'm going to go with Bryson over Mason. Jared, who do you got?
Well, I think I'll take Owen as well against Cole
Okay.
Ryan.
Okay.
I think Cole's got the consistent team, but Owen definitely. Gonna go Trent. Just just feeling Trent. I feel like his team's on a right trajectory more. And then I'll take the underdog. I like Mason for the Cinderella story. So
I love it. Willie, up to you.
Yeah, so I'll be selecting the best bowler in the NFL, Cole Ryan. And then I think Trent's going to pull off the good win against Devin. And I see Bryson starting that farewell tour off right.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys, that is it for our wild card weekend preview. We will hopefully be back. This was really good, guys. God, it looks like we didn't even miss a step. I hope we will be back next week to preview the semifinal matchups. Enjoy Thursday night football. Everybody get ready for a crazy wild card weekend, and the race is now beginning for the greatest trophy in sports and $1,000 cash. We will see you boys next time. Thank you, gentlemen.
yeah.